Hey, Wildlings, before we get started, I just want to take a quick moment to talk about my brand new sponsor, Audible. You guys know Audible. They sponsor all of our favorite podcasts, and now that includes Sean vs. Wild. Guys, if you're like me, you like to read. And also, if you're like me, you lead a pretty busy lifestyle. Now you can get the enjoyment out of books, whether you're in the office, the gym, or you're just a sweaty band dude in a van on a 30-hour drive across the country. How, you ask? All you have to do is go to audibletrial.com/Sean vs. Wild. You heard me, audibletrial.com/Sean vs. Wild. And when you do, you can enjoy a 30-day free trial of Audible for absolutely free. Yes, it's free. When you sign up, Audible is going to give you one free audiobook to enjoy. And we'll also give your boy Sean a little help with keeping the lights on here at the Smithsonian. All you got to do, again, audibletrial.com/Sean vs. Wild. Simply click the Start Your Trial button, sign into your Amazon account, and choose from over 180,000 titles. You guys hear me talk a lot about my favorite books, especially Dune. You can pick up Dune. I picked up Dune. Or maybe you prefer Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or Star Wars or Game of Thrones. Maybe you want to check out Stephen King's It before the movie comes out. Maybe you want to check out The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. All of these audiobooks are available and many more on Audible. What's awesome too is you can download it to your Kindle. You can download it to your phone, any of your devices. They're going to work on all of them, guys. All you have to do, again, just go to audibletrial.com/Sean vs. Wild. That's audibletrial.com/Sean vs. Wild. One more time, audibletrial.com/Sean vs. Wild, and enjoy your free audiobook right now. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to a special Friday edition of the Sean vs. Wild podcast. I'm your host, you know me, the man, the myth, the Sean Thriller Smith. And as promised, it is part 2 of my sit-down interview with Bryan Whiteman, bassist of Emanuel. And guys, we're just going to go ahead and pick up right where we left off last time. Bryan's going to be talking about touring on the soundtrack to a Head Rush album. A lot of great tour stories, some involving Suicide Girls, some involving Jared Leto. You're just going to have to hear it to believe it. And also, we're going to be talking about the writing and recording process for Black Earth Tiger. And like I said in the previous episode, it is the 10-year anniversary of the release of Black Earth Tiger this week. And I couldn't be more thrilled that Bryan came on to do this show, and I can honor that band that was so influential on me and my career and my band by having this podcast go on this week. So thanks again, Bryan, for doing this show. I definitely appreciate it. I'm not going to do too much more talking. I'm going to let most of the podcast do the talking. I will just say, if you haven't tuned into part 1, definitely do that. It's going to give you all the background info you're going to need for part 2. And then also, I want to give a big shout out to Joe Brock for always booping the dials every week, sometimes twice a week, like this week, making me sound like $151,600. I definitely appreciate you, Joe. Yeah, we both have 40-hour week jobs. We're both just trying to make something of this podcast. So I thank him so much, and I thank all you guys for tuning in. If you do like what you hear, like, share, and subscribe. If you're a new listener, welcome. Definitely appreciate all the traction that I've been getting over the past month or so. I can't appreciate you guys anymore. Thank you so much. And yeah, guys, it's time to turn up, tune in, turn out, and turn down for what? You know what I'm saying? Let's get wild. Yeah, speaking of onstage banter, we were talking about that off topic here, off mic. But Cody, whenever I was in Suburban Blood Drive, I remember you guys had the huge album release show at Headliners, and Cody, we're about to play, and Cody's like, "All right, guys, we are Suburban Blood Drive. We need you to get to the front. If you guys want to stand in the back and cry about your report card, Emanuel will be up right now, or will be up next." So,
oh, Cody, what a dickhead! That dude pissed on me one time.
Hey, man, that's how you know you're part of the brotherhood.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I'm sure it was fantastic. I'm sure it was awesome.
At least I was in a creek.
Oh, yeah, well, then that's fine.
Yeah.
If you want to cry out your report card, Emanuel is going to be up next. That's a Cody Williams original right there. Yeah. Guys, this is the Sean vs. Wild podcast. This is part 2 of my conversation with Bryan Whiteman, bassist of Emanuel, Louisville's most influential band. I said that. He didn't say that. No, I said it.
I'm disagreeing.
He's disagreeing, and he's looking for a black and tan here. What do you think about the Yingling Black and Tan? Let's talk about it for a second.
Yingling has a rich history for me. It was the first beer I ever drank in a bar, Philadelphia, which will probably segue into a real good story you want to talk about anyway. But no, it's great. We have it in Indiana now, still not in Kentucky, but it's been a long time coming. I'm all for it. Well, America's oldest brewery. I do take issue. A lot of people, every time I have one in my hand, they're like, President of Yingling was a Trump supporter. And I'm like, well, that fucking sucks. But I'm still going to buy the beer. It's cheap.
Yeah. With all the people that do the big decisions, I'm sure that, they probably own Amazon, Target, and a bunch of others. I mean, I don't want to go off on the record here and say that they do, but I'm sure that they have their hands in a lot of pockets here from a lot of things that you support. Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But anyway, this is part 2 of the Sean vs. Wild podcast. Where we last left off, Brian and I were discussing the origin, if you will, of Emanuel, how it started, and then we cut off right as Soundtrack to a Head Rush had been released on Vagrant Records. And guys, I think this is the podcast you're going to want to tune into, because this is when the debauchery starts.
Yes.
You've signed your name on the dotted line.
Yes, we're on our way.
And you're on your way.
Let debauchery ensue.
But from there, you guys were just out on the road, man. You guys were doing some insane tours in support of, or around the time that Soundtrack was coming out. Mm-hmm. I mean, you were touring with Jimmy Eat World, one of my absolute favorite bands of all time.
We toured with Jimmy Eat World before Soundtrack was out, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, even better.
It was the first tour we did after we signed to Vagrant, I believe. And that was super cool, because definitely one of my all-time favorites as well.
What was it like?
Well, it was probably to this day the most professional sounding band I've ever been around. I mean, those dudes are pros. Like watching them soundcheck the first time, Jim's up there and he's like, no, I need more 2K on my vocal in the monitor.
What is a 2K?
How can he hear that? No, he's just got like a perfect ear, I guess. I guess he did a lot of engineering stuff too, but he wanted that goddamn monitor perfect. And that was back when we still used cables to plug into our guitars, and
didn't have a wireless.
Yeah, and those guys weren't using in-ears at the time. I'm sure they are now. Actually, I know they are now, but it was the real deal back then, and yeah, they were the real deal. They sounded fucking great.
Don't you kind of miss that about music, where people have to be the real deal?
Yeah,
like you can't just phone it in live.
There's no fucking stage volume anymore. There's no amps.
I'm not trying to call anybody out in particular, because there's a lot of awesome people and everybody's out there working hard. Okay, the music industry has just changed.
It's easier on your back though. You don't have to carry all that nice shit around.
That's so true. But I'm just saying the industry's just changed, where you can literally play Warped Tour and have backing tracks and lip sync every day in an outdoor festival like that. It's crazy to me.
Is that a thing now?
That's actually
you have to understand.
Thing.
I've been out for 10 years, dog. I'm out of it. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how the music industry's been. I mean, you can have a performance where you can lip sync, or you can have your backing track the whole time with your vocals, and, sing when you want and sing when you don't want. And people are so familiar with it, they're not going to call you out on it. Think of it this way. Milli Vanilli was blacklisted from, the music industry for lip syncing.
Yeah.
Now you see it.
Standard practice.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know.
I just miss the good old days. Look at us, just like two grizzled old vets.
Yeah, vets. I wish they just plugged their goddamn guitars into an amp.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Just play. Mm-hmm. Just let it happen.
Play them.
So you're on tour with Jimmy Eat World. Mm-hmm. You also are doing some worldwide touring. The first band I ever knew that was like, dude, I'm going to Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we went to Europe when we were 20 years old. That was cool, because we'd been sneaking around and in these clubs for a year or so, playing shows and trying to scavenge beers here and there. But
trying to crush a few brews.
Crush some suds here and there. But over there, it's anything goes pretty much. And we get off the plane and shit, we got started on the plane. I think we were able, once you're through the international, or it was back in these days, once you're through the gate, you've got international rules. So duty free, we're like stocking up on handles of vodka and shit, and then you could bring it on the plane. So like I had a bottle of vodka underneath my seat the whole flight overseas, and I wasn't a particularly good flyer, never really have been, don't really like it, but I would say I probably tied one on that flight. And we were over there in the wintertime. I think it was in December of 2004, I guess, and Yeah, I saw the sun 10 hours in a month over there. Like
the rest you just been living up the nightlife.
It just did not
if you
see
need
the
me,
sun.
I'll be at the Reaper Bond.
Yeah. You didn't see me in the sun. It was awesome.
Hey man, you're just like one of those vampires off Twiglet, man.
Yeah.
You can't see him in the sun because you'll sparkle too much. You know what I'm saying? I also heard a great story about you guys trying absinthe for the first time in some sort of dungeon.
Yeah, that was Paris. I can't remember who took us there. It was like a promoter or like the production assistant or runner or whatever you call them. Took us around the corner of this bar. And I was like, hey, these guys want to go downstairs. And so they took us down to this like weird dungeon thing. And it wasn't even that weird. This was like...
I mean, you got lucky because usually if it's like, hey, these guys want to go downstairs, it's probably some weird sex stuff going on.
Yeah, there was no sex stuff. It was just like us and this girl that brought us. And but this wasn't even like your Eastern European absinthe, I don't think. I think it was the regulated shit. But either way, it was I don't know. It wasn't wild.
It made for a good story.
We got a little
American
more
friends.
loopy, I would say, than just a regular booze drunk. But yeah, nobody chopped their own ear off like Van Gogh or anything like that.
Yeah, nobody went full Van Gogh
Yeah.
on the tour. Everybody came out with all their ears.
All ears.
But speaking of tour stories, there's a couple in particular that I'm going to need you to speak on at some length.
All right.
First one being your tour with 30 Seconds to Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Now, anybody that knows me knows that I personally, as a fan of movies, I'm sure this guy's probably, maybe not as bad as I think he is in real life, but I've heard he might be. But as an actor, I hate Jared Leto. And as a musician, I also hate him too.
Well, he's a beautiful man.
As a personality-wise?
No, his
or
face.
Just looks-wise?
His
Okay,
fucking
gotcha.
face. The first day I met that guy, like, I looked at him, and you don't look into his eyes. It's mesmerizing, Sean. I mean, it took me to a different place.
He's going to glamour you just like a vampire.
Special. Yeah, he was also about 50 pounds overweight at the time because he had just filmed, ironically enough, the guy that killed John Lennon, Mark Paul Chapman, whatever that movie was. Mark David Chapman.
Chapter 20... Is it Chapter 23?
With our girl, what's her name was in it? The real Mean Girls, Lohan. Yeah,
Lindsay
Lohan.
Lohan.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the movie, don't worry. No one else did either.
Homie dropped. Yeah, I haven't seen it. Homie dropped all that weight in about 12 days. He was back to like cut up abs in 12 days, like 60 pounds. It was fucking crazy. I've never seen anything like it. But yeah, good old Jerry. So Jerry,
Jerry, I'm sure he's gonna love that.
That's what we called him. Jerry was interesting. I think he had a little thing for Anthony. They had a thing. He also liked our tour manager Jeff quite a bit too. He called him Red. Hey Red, curtains match the carpet. He would do shit like that every day, and he's like, I don't know, man. And like he actually physically tried to pull Jeff's shorts down one day to inspect him,
just to make sure.
Yeah, but it was funny because on that tour, Anthony Diamond Tony had a rash, which we couldn't figure out what it was, but it was bothering him. I think that someone that he had maybe laid down with at some point had a case of scabies.
Oh, gotcha.
And so this motherfucker's itching all the time, and we're like, oh boy, we live in a van together. This motherfucker's got scabies. We're fucked. And so like he's just getting worse and worse, and he's freaking out and he's panicking, and all of a sudden the rest of us are somatically itching. We're all going crazy. And I think, I don't know, after days of this, Matt's aunt is a nurse, and she's like, okay, go get that lice stuff, Rid-X, and just wash your body with it. So we've burned sleeping bags and a lot of clothes at this point, just ditching shit that we think's infested. We're rubbing our bodies down with Rid-X, I think is what that stuff's called. And I have sensitive skin, and my shit breaks out like in flames. I spent the night with cold water running on me in the bathtub of the shower at the hotel. Ended up going to the emergency room the next day because I've scratched myself bloody all over the place, and I can't like figure this out. So get to the emergency room, and the doctor's like, "Oh yeah, for sure, it's scabies." And he like writes me a prescription, for a tube of cream. And I'm like, no, you don't understand, man. When I said I live in a van with 6 other dudes, I meant it. Like I'm going to need 7 prescriptions of that fucking cream. So we're like we're rubbing this cream all over ourselves. We make it up to Seattle, and God bless the Pacific Northwest for all their free clinics, beautiful clinics. So we get up in there, same deal. I think they diagnosed us again with scabies. Anyways, later on,
You had a double dose of scabies.
yeah,
Is what's going on.
yeah. But anyways, it turns out
You
later
have scabies plus.
down the road, we finally get home. Anthony goes to a real dermatologist, and they're like, "This is psoriasis brought on by stress. None of you guys had scabies, so that wasn't real." But the beauty of this was started with Jared Leto. Is Jared Leto used to always come by and ask Anthony, "How dirty is your dick, dude?"
Oh my god! What a creep, dude.
Yeah. So he'll find me and kill me if he ever hears this, which he won't. But
I hope he does, man.
Oh,
Hey,
man.
Jared Leto, if you're listening, which you aren't. I loved you in the new Suicide Squad movie, and that is a lie. I didn't like you at all.
All right. So like I guess a couple of days later, Jared figures out, or somebody tells him, "No, dude, those guys all have scabies." And then he comes up and he sincerely like apologizes. He's like, "Dude, I didn't know, man. Like I didn't know that you guys all had scabies. I'm sorry I said that about your dick."
Oh my god! Could you imagine if you were on tour with a band that all had scabies? Just look at it from the opposite.
God, I would kick that band off the tour.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, but that's one nice thing about Jared Leto. He didn't kick you guys off the tour.
No, he just made us sell our T-shirts for $35 a piece.
For scabies. For $35 a piece. How many of those did you sell, would you say?
Not very many.
Man, $35 for a
Sales
t-shirt.
were down.
Let's just say this. The tour was very packed. A lot of people there, but merch sales were at an all-time low.
Yes. Those $35 tees.
I also heard a story, and maybe you can attest to it, about Young Skis, a.k.a. Matt Breen,
Scurvy?
maybe saying something to Jared Leto that he didn't necessarily like. Which I love this story.
Yeah, this is a good one.
I love this story.
I forgot about that. So this is like day 1 or 2 of that tour, and Diamond Tony has had a few too many, maybe. I don't know what he's doing. I missed the whole thing. But anyways, he's out back of the venue like destroying shit. Like I don't know if he's breaking bottles or tipping over garbage cans or what he's doing. And I guess a crowd gathers, and like Jared and Matt and Jeff and everybody are just kind of hanging around watching. And Jared leans over to Matt and he's like, "Oh, that must be your old singer." Matt's like, "No, actually, I'm the singer." He's like, "Oh, shit, man, I'm sorry. I don't know who everybody is yet." He's like, "Oh, it's cool. I wouldn't know who you were except I saw Prefontaine." And Jared slapped him in the face.
That's so great. Guys, if you haven't seen Prefontaine and you want to see Jared Leto run some track, I suggest you give it a whirl.
Good legs.
Great legs. Good look.
Good look, great legs.
Great legs. Also, too, another tour story that has become something of legend is when you guys toured for the first ever Suicide Girls Burlesque tour. You were the band.
Direct support.
The direct support for the tour.
Yeah, that was this was pre-record deal.
Prefontaine,
pre-record deal, and maybe pre-finished soundtrack. I'm not sure. This was pretty early on, but we were taking what we could get at that point. And so there's like,
well, the Suicide Girls were like the hottest thing on the planet for any man in 2004, 2005.
Yeah, I guess so. So we were asked to do it.
It's
We're
very popular.
20, and it's like, all right, let's fucking, yeah, this seems cool. And I think we were probably excited about doing it, but we quickly realized it was a fucking joke. And it wasn't people that wanted to see music at all. So they had 2 bands opening, this other band, and then us. First band was a gimmick band. We were a band.
Your gimmick band? What do you mean, like Kiss?
No, they were just like it was just a joke pop punk band, basically.
Gotcha.
And then the girls headlined, and we just had some trouble on that tour. They had 2 tour managers. I have no idea why the fuck they needed 2 tour managers. But
Absolutely.
They had 2 of them, and from day 1 they're like, "Don't go around them. Don't fucking look at them." And we're like, "Dude, chill the fuck out. We're not going to do anything." And we had like run-ins with those guys where they were just like overstepping their boundaries all the time, trying to like get in our faces about
almost
stuff
like a bodyguard.
Yeah. It was weird.
White knighting you, as you would say on the internet. Just a bunch of white knights.
But we also got in trouble with venues and stuff. We didn't, after like a few days, we didn't really want to be on that tour. And Anthony had gotten in trouble / sort of a fight with a security guard at some venue, and like we got kicked out of a place or something maybe. I can't really remember. I think one of those shows was at the Hard Rock Cafe in Denver, which is just stupid to have a show at a Hard Rock Cafe. It was dumb. And so we're on stage, we're like 2 songs in, and they come up, the sound guy comes up, he's like, "You guys got to turn down the drums." And we're like, "What?"
That's actually impossible.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to do that. And he's like, "All right." And then we like play one more song. They're like, nope, you guys are just too loud. So we're like, "All right, man, we got this." amps cranked, and then we just open string pounding for like 4 or 5 minutes until they come unplug us. It's just like ga ga. Here it is.
And this is where the low B comes back into place.
Yes.
We come full circle.
The mic stand spring. So yeah. Anyways, that was an issue, and so we finally got to the point where like we were quitting. We're out, and they wanted us gone. It was like we got kicked off / quit kind of deal. Anyways, fast forward to months later, we're in Philadelphia. Eva from Feta Booking's birthday party. We're still 20 years old at the time, or at least I was, and she rented out a bar. It was like a prom themed birthday party. Suicide Girls were playing in Philadelphia that night. Eva extends the olive branch as a good Greek woman would. That's a Greek thing, right?
I like what you've done there. The olive branch. Yeah,
yes.
that's
So
according to mythology here.
So Eva, in all of her niceness and trying to make peace, invites them out. And I don't remember if any of the people from the actual tour showed up, but some people showed up, and they brought some guys, like tough guys, basically to fight. That's why they came there. And we had been drinking all night. We're fucking underage, and I end up like we're walking. The thing's closing. I'm walking out the door. I've got a beverage in hand. Somebody shoves me, and like my beverage flies up in my face. I'm like, all right, I don't know what that was. And keep walking. I get outside, and Jeff's just like getting pushed around by 3 or 4 girls, and I'm like, what is going on here? So I go put
over what though? Just
I don't know.
Like we didn't like your band on the tour.
Yeah, something like I don't know. I think they were just kind of picking on him or something. I don't know. I just went over and put my arm around him. I was like, hey man, you don't have to listen to this shit. And I think I used some unsavory words towards a few of them, and I look over to him, and I just get blindsided by one of the girls. Just hit the hardest. To this day, it's the hardest I've ever been punched in my life. She fucking rocked me.
You got smoked.
I got smoked, and like some bleeding from like 3 places on my mouth. I like kind of just stumbled back, and Jeff tells the story best. You'll have to just get him on to just tell the story, just one whole episode.
I need an addendum.
Yeah, fact check it.
Yeah,
and. Yeah, so like I'm stumbled back, and Anthony comes walking out. He sees me bleeding. He's like, "What's going on?" And some guy like tries to jump kick him in the face, but he's so wobbly from being so drunk that he like wobbles out of the way of it. And we like corner the dude, and he like starts doing karate moves at us. We're like, "Oh my god, just run away, man!" And then like in the middle of this, like I get blindsided by one of the guys, so I'm like hit twice without seeing it coming, and it's just the street brawl. It's a fucking co-ed street brawl.
It's sharks versus jets. It's greasers versus socias.
There's a pile. Anthony's girlfriend at the time was there, and she's got like 4 girls on top of her. So Jeff's like removing the girls from Casey. Well, name and
from the knife.
Yeah, the knife, and he pulls, as he's trying to remove them, he accidentally yanks out one of their weaves. So at this point, like the bar security finally gets this thing under control. It's maybe like 40 seconds of action. And they all scatter. They just like all take off running. And Jeff is like He-Man, and he's holding that weave in his hand, and he holds it up, and he goes, "I got a fucking weave." And he's holding it straight up in the air. And we're all like, "Yes!" And then like out of the darkness, one of them just runs out, snatches that weave, and just books the shit. It was amazing, man. It was fucking unreal. Oh man,
that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Maybe.
I mean,
it's just so funny that it's like they hated you so much after a few shows that they wanted to have a good old fashioned rumble.
Yeah, see
at a party where people were trying to be nice.
The girls didn't hate us. They actually like jokingly made fun of us on their MySpace all the time. They were posting pictures of us on their MySpace, like dogging us and shit. It was really funny. But it just got a little out of hand. I think we had done a radio interview at some point after, and maybe talked a little too much shit. I think there was like a weird sort of fake internet beef that escalated,
one of those things where they're making fun of you because you guys are on tour together, you're making fun of them,
and then they take it seriously and we don't, and then they hire like goons to come beat us up.
The goon squad to cap you.
Yeah, but the goons didn't do a very good job.
But you did end up looking like straight up Andrew WK.
I wish.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. I looked exactly like him. Actually, I was cut up.
I was cut up, and you were telling me that the next morning you're walking the streets of Philadelphia.
Yeah. So I had to walk back to Avanja's house. It was a prom theme party, and I had like a shirt and tie, and blazer and walking down the streets of South Philadelphia, like still all scabbed up and shit, like just
Blood everywhere.
You look like, why is this like young, clean looking guy look homeless as fuck right now?
Why does he look about 58?
Yeah,
This is a 20-year-old man.
why does this 17-year-old look 58?
Something tells me, though, Philadelphia always has like that thing of being a rough town. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe it's just the Rocky movies that I've seen, but
Yeah, I think it's Rocky and the Phillies fans. They're just dicks.
maybe that's not the first time they've seen that.
Yeah,
That's why.
that's why I made
you're
it
able
through.
to
Nobody. It was
unscathed. No one
yeah.
even bothered to
No.
bat an eyelash.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. Just another one of those guys walking the streets.
Yeah, bloodied from the night before.
So yeah. So you do a lot of touring, obviously.
Yeah, we were out probably 9 or 10 months of the year for about 3 or 4 years straight.
About 3 or 4 years straight. What's the dynamic of the band like at that time?
That time it was good, man. Morale was high. Waiting for that record to come out. We were cocky as hell. We thought we were like the greatest, even though live we weren't very good. I don't think. But the record
Live,
was
you guys
good.
were awesome, by the way.
Well, thank you. I think we had our moments. Maybe it's not like those songs were that hard to play, but I think maybe in those days the live show was better than it was later. But we were pumped. We were excited at that time. We were the young guys, the new guys. We're doing it, and we thought we had something going there. So it was good. Morale was high.
Well, you guys being cocky, whatever, you say that, but honestly, I mean, especially just coming from like my personal point of view, like I never thought I was cool. Maybe that's just me having low self-esteem or something, but I never thought I was cool. But even when you guys were at your highest, like we're hanging out with you guys at the studio on Preston Street. Matt Barber's recording our demos for us. We're going to the same house parties. I was having conversations with Breen and you and all this other stuff when I'm just like a young nobody, and my band is a bunch of young nobodies. So you guys might have been pretty cocky, but at least you guys were very welcoming of those around you that are out there trying to do something too.
Sure, yeah. I don't think being cocky, you can still be a decent human.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
just go up on stage and act like you got your shit's better than everybody else's shit.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, you guys deserve it though, man. Because still, like, I still feel like there's no band. Yeah, like, okay, My Morning Jacket has made huge strides in Louisville, and I'm not taking anything away from them. But My Morning Jacket's not a Louisville band. They play maybe once a year here.
Yeah, probably not even that.
No, I don't know anybody that knows them personally or has seen them like on the touring circuit or anything like that. And they've just been mainstream for as long as I know. Been Dave Grohl's favorite band since the 90s. But you guys deserved everything that you got because you guys worked hard. You guys did the tours. You guys put the time in, put the work in, and put out awesome music. I'm not just here to toot your own horn. This isn't just like the manual.
Keep going. I'm going to kick my feet up, and if you could rub my feet while you'd say all this stuff, it would just be great.
Yes, please do that. Okay, so now that I've got that out of the way, guys, what's the morale's high? What's going on with Black Earth Tiger? Okay, so you've done your tenure for soundtrack.
Yeah, we're at the end of the touring cycle, I suppose. So the last 2006, we did all of Warped Tour. At that point, we've probably written a couple songs. I think Phobos was the first song that we wrote for Black Earth Tiger. And that's done. And we've actually got a demo of that we're playing for people on Warped Tour, like for our friends or like people from the label or whatever.
I remember hearing you guys do that when we practiced. There was that studio on West 4th Street or West, Market Street.
Market Street, yep. Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. West Market Street with Drake.
Ironically, now that is the Louisville Metro Drug Court offices.
Oh, really? Because we practiced right next door to you. Because Suburban Blood Drive had a practice space right next to you guys.
Yeah.
So I remember hearing Phobos. Mm-hmm. And then after I left Suburban Blood Drive and I joined, Heartbreak Kid went on to become Baby Yeah, we were doing our demos there too. Like we were recording there. So I remember hearing Phobos. Also too, before I get too far into this, let me tell you something. You were like, who the hell would have a show at the Hard Rock Cafe? I know this was minutes ago, guys, which seems like an eternity in the internet, on the internet, but we had our album release show at the Hard Rock Cafe.
I think I might have been
Louisville.
there actually.
And what I love about it is Foxbat played. They were the opening band, and Foxbat's heavy. We had Foxbat, who's an extremely heavy band, Greyhaven, which is an extremely heavy band, and then us, who was pretty heavy on a bill. And they literally were like, the drum. It's so funny you said the drums are too loud because they said the exact same thing when the opening band, and they put one of those plexiglass shields in front of Robbie from Foxbat as they were playing. And like literally it lasted all of about 60 seconds before it just collapsed.
Yeah.
And then people are like, man, I'm trying to eat here, dude. Like, I can't eat if this music's playing. Y'all need to turn down. And I'm like, well, we rented out the venue here.
Yeah.
So you can eat your $10 meal elsewhere because we paid hundreds of dollars to rent this thing.
Well, that's precisely why you don't do shows at the Hard Rock. Yes. I hope you learned your fucking lesson.
I certainly did.
Yeah.
You believe that. Yeah. So you're saying you did Warped Tour 2005 and you did the whole summer of 2006. I remember seeing you
parts
guys.
of 04 and then, the whole thing in 06.
I remember seeing you guys in 06. I remember everybody having really sweet tank top tan lines. And
Not me. I didn't wear a shirt the whole fucking summer.
The whole summer. And I remember seeing Bear vs. Shark, of all bands, play right before you guys on Warped Tour.
I don't remember them being there.
Yeah, dude. Well, what's the last time you thought of Bear vs. Shark?
I feel like I was talking about them recently.
Really?
Actually, they were from Florida, weren't they?
I don't remember.
I think one of my buddies is buddies with those guys.
Well, hey, Bear vs. Shark, if you're listening, go ahead and hop on this podcast because I would love to talk to you. Loved your band back in the day.
Yeah.
So let's make that happen. Okay, so 2006 is in the bag.
Yes.
Warped Tour is in the bag.
Yeah. So
you're in the studio on West Market.
Yeah, we're over
You're
there.
writing Phobos.
West Market. This is where shit starts to maybe unravel a little bit. So we're working on Black Earth. We're excited to be working on a new record, but not everybody's reliable at this point.
Right.
We're having trouble getting
excesses of fame have become apparent.
Yeah. The paycheck from Warped Tour is being used. So it was getting a little weird. I think maybe by then all the promise of all the things that were going on back in 04, all the projections of what were supposed to happen from people that knew the business and, the people that signed us, and that may have just been bullshit. But, we're a little jaded at this point because things didn't quite take off. I mean, we were still getting great tours left and right. But, we're being passed by bands with, in my opinion, much lesser records. And I think it was hard on us to see that. Like, we're like, this band is not good, yet they're selling twice as many records. Or like on our, say we're headlining or something, and we're like, why were more people into that band than our band, and we're like all these things were happening.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was kind of having a toll on morale and things like that. We're like, this is not going quite the way it's supposed to. But we got another shot here. We got we're going to Seattle to record with Terry Date, the dude's
Deftones.
Yeah, the dude's the shit. And, we're writing, we've got a couple cool songs in the bag, but I think the songwriting kind of started to hit a wall a little bit. Not sure if it was just like a morale thing, a lazy thing, or maybe everybody's heads weren't in it at the same time.
Well, you know what they always say, like you have your whole life to write your first album and 6 months to write your second.
Yeah, pretty much exactly how it went. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So, I don't know. We had some good songs, a few. And we headed out to Seattle to do the record, and we made it, and we had a lot of time to make it in. And compared to the 3 weeks of soundtrack, we had 2 months to do this thing, and it was just there was no urgency in it.
Right.
We had time to mess around, and which was cool because we got to experiment with sounds a lot more than before, and obviously that I think shows a little bit in that album. But there's that first album's so hooky, like. Every song on soundtrack has like a hook, like a monster hook in it, and probably one of the coolest outros.
I was going to say the most epic outros ever recorded.
Yeah, like every song had a slam and outro, and we didn't have that wasn't the intention though.
Right.
It's not like we weren't trying to write these hooky songs. There's a few good hooks in there, but it was more like a moody record, that was darker and maybe that was something to do with the place we're in. But
it's kind of a 180 from soundtrack. Where I always just say, it's always important to do like a 90-degree turn from one album to the next. But I feel like Black Earth Tiger was a 180. But also too, I can't help I can't blame you for that because ultimately, soundtrack had been recorded years before it was ever released, and then you toured on it for a couple of years, or a
some
year.
of the songs were probably 7 years old at this point.
Right, exactly. I could see why morale would be down though, because I was talking to you, like, outside of the podcast, I was like, it's the biggest crime I feel against you guys is that, your album was shelved for so long. And in that meantime, people that had heard your album, which I assume had heard your album at that point, bands like Lorraine Drive or My American Heart or The Audition or something like that, had already come to fruition at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Had you guys had that album come out like immediately, you guys would be the pioneers of that rock and roll sound, or that punk rock and roll sound, I guess, because you guys aren't punk, it's rock, but it's its own kind of thing that was captured, I feel, later by other bands before your album really got a chance to.
Yeah, but it'd been floating around on the internet for a year and a half before it ever.
Exactly.
They damn sure got to listen to it. They didn't have to buy it. Right. They damn sure got to listen to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can see why it might be a little bit moodier the second time around, or why morale might be a little bit lower.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a different place. I think everybody's getting a little bit jaded, maybe a little tired. But I think everybody was all hands on deck for the most part. And we go out and do it. And I don't know. I still have mixed feelings on that record. Like, if I ever go back and listen to any of this stuff, I usually go to it first.
Right.
Just if there's I'll be thinking about it, or somebody says something about something, I'm like, I'm gonna go back and listen to that song. And I like it when I hear it. There's a few songs that suck, I think, on that record. On Soundtrack, there's no songs that suck. But there's a couple songs that suck on Black Earth. But there's a lot of cool songs. So I don't know. It was another bad timing thing too with Vagrant, because when our first record was coming out, one of the reasons it got pushed back so long is they were switching distributions.
Right.
So that happened again, perfectly lined up with Black Earth's release. It was pushed back again for the same fucking reason.
Perfect.
So we're like, oh boy, here we go. And so we wrap it up in February or March of 07, I think. The fucker's released in... Wait, you know when it was released? When was it released?
I know when it's released.
It was released this month, right?
This podcast will coincide, maybe not this one, but the first one definitely coincides with the 10-year anniversary of Black Earth Tiger. This podcast will come out on the 29th, or the part one will come out on the 29th of August, and Black Earth Tiger came out on the 28th of August, 2007.
28th of August. There it is. Yeah. So shit, we didn't make it very much longer after that record came, because I think we were wrapping her up by October of 2007 was end of days. Yeah, those were the final days.
Yeah, dude, 10 years. Can you believe it's been a decade already?
Yeah, I guess so, because 2 years ago it was 10 years of soundtracks. But I hadn't thought about it until you brought it up. I was like, that's a long motherfucking time.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I guess time flies when you're not doing shit.
When you're just having fun.
Yeah. It's been a long time. We've all moved on to other things.
Right. But before we move on, I got to say, Black Earth Tiger, I absolutely loved it, man. It was different. Like I said, it's that 180. You know what I'm saying?
Which is a dangerous career move for sure. And it definitely threw the label off, where they were kind of backing away from it. And, our fans, a lot of our fans anyways, were kind of like, what is this? This is like a weird, spooky metal record and not a...
Very
whatever.
Deftones. I feel Terry Date really put his signature on the sound.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, you get that production and it sounds that way, but I mean, he didn't have a hand in crafting much of the songs, so we're kind of guilty of that. But, he definitely came in at points and was like, you guys realize this part of this song sucks, right? And we're like, yeah, we didn't really know what to do. He's like, all right, well, we better figure it out because I'm not recording that,
Right.
So, we'd work on things and just like hash out the bad parts. And, he seemed to like it. But Terry had made many a platinum record,
right? Exactly.
By that time, and was on, I would consider the man nearly retired at this point. I think, it was probably the cheapest record that he had ever made. And maybe one of the more expensive records ever paid for by an indie label.
Right.
But
what was the cost, if you don't mind me asking?
God,
Tell the fans out there.
I think they must have spent $80,000 on that record. A lot of it went to like just living in Seattle for 2 months, but I don't know what Terry got. And then us just having, money for food and stuff like that. But it didn't sell enough to recoup, I'll tell you that. Money was left out there.
Really?
Oh yeah. But Terry was a super cool guy, like one of the coolest dudes. He actually I think he went to high school in Indianapolis or Cincinnati or something. So he's like a Midwestern guy.
So he's like an Indiana hick like the rest of us.
Yeah, for sure. But dude worked in like coal mines in Idaho before he made his way to Seattle. And, like, I think the first thing he ever did was like a Run DMC album. I honestly have no idea how he got to that point. But then being out there, you're like, Pantera was one of his big, breakthroughs, I guess. He was doing like White Zombie and some Soundgarden and all that stuff at the time. Or those days, the 90s, the good days.
The good old days, yep.
Yeah. But he was cool as shit. Like, but we'd fuck around a lot. Like, we'd be in the studio trying to work, and then it's like, all right, let's take a break. And me and Terry would go down in the basement and play ping pong for like an hour. And then we'd come back upstairs, and the live room in the studio, this was Stone Gossard from Pearl Jam's studio that we were recording in. And it was a big, long live room. So Terry was super into golf. So while he's like tracking, like while we're tracking and stuff, he's got the golf channel on the screen above the mixer. So he's kind of like watching.
So it's nothing but just high energy, obviously, the whole time.
Yeah. So Terry and I would take golf clubs and plastic golf balls and set up on either side of the live room of the studio, and we would tee off at each other. And like the first dude to like smoke the other dude with the golf ball lost. So I'm in there with Terry. He's probably in his like mid late 50s at this point, And we're just trying to hit each other with golf balls. And
Sounds very safe.
The best thing about besides the golf, Terry Date loved Sloppy Joes. And he's like, wait a second, you guys like Sloppy Joes? We're like, fuck yeah, Terry, we like Sloppy Joes. He's like, my wife and kids hate Sloppy Joes. So we would do like Sloppy Joes a couple days a week too.
A couple days a week. Look, my wife and kids hate these, so I got to have them here in the studio.
Yeah, with you guys.
Now that I'm back with my Hoosiers
Yeah.
here, we got to have some Sloppy Joes.
Let's have some Sloppy Joes. I can't get away with this shit at home.
So you mentioned earlier that that came, we said it came out August 28th, and then you said by October things seem to have been falling apart.
Yeah, so I don't remember that touring cycle. Like, obviously the record was done in February, I think. Probably mixed a few weeks later. Mixed and mastered a few weeks later. Done completely. But it didn't get released for, 6-7 more months. So again, we were waiting. That might have been a normal time to wait. I don't know. But it seems unnecessary. It's like, let's get that thing out in a couple months and get it going with it. And we toured from the time we got done recording it till the time it came out, promoting it, carrying around posters and stickers and sticking shit everywhere and, doing our usual touring stuff. I'm sure we did some good tours. I don't really remember what we were doing at that time, but, I guess we were in the U.S. Yeah, we had to have been when the album came out. So we probably did a Louisville, release show and doing the usual supporting gigs. I don't think we ever headlined on Black Earth Tiger, but we go to Europe where we were we were bigger in Europe. We always did way better over there. And something that broke our backs in Europe years before was we had I can't remember if it was co-headlining or Alexis was headlining. I feel like it was a co-headlining tour. And right, 3 weeks before the tour, we back out because Say Anything can't do the Saves the Day tour in the U.S. and we need more momentum in the U.S. So we decide we're going to do the whole Saves the Day tour, full U.S. with Saves the Day. And I'm telling, the guys at Vagrant who were kind of calling the shots on this whole thing, I'm like, well, why don't we just go with Alexis to Europe? We'll miss 2 weeks of the first 2 weeks of Saves the Day. We'll come back and jump on with them. They're like, no, I can't do it. So, people were fucking pissed over there. They were like, what? We bought tickets to see your band. You guys didn't come. And it was 2 years later before we ever got back over there. And by then, everybody had given up on us. We hadn't been over in a long time. And, we're doing this tour, big shows, but we're playing with the wrong band, And I think we're getting real close to I don't know how much longer we're doing this thing. And that was it. That was the Camden Coco or whatever that place is called over there. Great big venue in London in Camden, and that was the final show. I think we all knew it. I don't think anybody ever had the conversation and was like, this is definitely our last show. In fact, I think we might have agreed to do another tour, but never did it after that. But that was it. That was the final one. I think that was October of 2007.
That's all she wrote.
That's it. That's all. But we didn't break up. I want to make it clear that we're still on hiatus.
Still on hiatus.
Yeah.
We're going to, since that's such a high note here, we are going to go ahead and pause for a second to hear one of these songs that Terry Date golf aficionado, Terry Date.
That man had a great short game.
We got to hear some of the songs, or one of the songs off the album. What's your favorite one?
Gosh, Cenotaph might be my favorite. There's a handful that I like probably about equal. There's like the 5 good songs that I like kind of equally. But which one are we playing?
Which one do you want to play, bro?
I thought
we can take a hard right and play whatever one you want to.
I don't know. I always like You're the Pig because the drums sound so awesome at the beginning.
All right, guys. You're the Pig is actually the intro for all you Baby F fans. I've been ripping that off for 4 or 5 years. I just love that. Which I played that. That was our right before our last hits of our outro. You would hear me play that, Phil. So I'm glad that you picked that one.
Good.
So guys, this is Year of the Pig by Emanuel. All right, guys. Year of the Pig by Emanuel off of Black Earth Tiger, celebrating its 10-year anniversary. And while we were away, I want you to know that the Emanuel curse struck in full force. I don't know what happened, but I will say this. A small fire did break out in my backyard on a freshly stained wooden outdoor table. And I don't know how to explain that to
the curse is still alive.
I don't know how to explain that to the cohabitants of the Smithsonian. But guys, you're hearing it first. This is an exclusive. I want to let everybody know we were successfully able to put out said fire. But isn't that so weird?
We took it out with a shoe.
Yeah, we took it out with a shoe and a few glasses of water. But it is the rainiest day here.
Yeah.
And
it's swampy. And no wind. It's just wet out there.
Yeah. I don't know how this happened.
The curse.
The Emanuel curse. So you said the last tour, one of the last tours is called Curses for Emanuel.
The only legit headlining tour we ever did, we called Curses. The Curses Tour 2006 or 7. Yeah, that was, we were already really jaded at that point. We're like, nothing good happens to us. Only bad shit happens. And I don't remember exactly why we thought that, except that
maybe
we were just a bunch of whiny ass dickheads
getting beat up at Taco Bell's all the time.
Yeah, that may be what it was.
Yeah, well, your van accident too. Was that had anything to do with it? I remember.
Yeah, that was probably
your first
played into
crash.
the curse. But I think the Curses tour may have been pre-van crash.
So just when you thought it couldn't get worse.
That was actually when we were with Jared Leto. Was that crash?
I remember seeing that made the news in Texas.
Oh hell yes, yes. It was kind of funny.
Tell the listeners out there about that.
So we crashed. We were driving from Houston to San Antonio, and it's flowing traffic, but it's congested. It's 2-lane interstate. It's fast moving, but there's a lot of traffic. And amazingly, so this dude we just hired this guy to do sound for us. It was his second day with us, first time ever driving the van. And a few vehicles ahead of us is a trailer full of bullshit, as only you would see in Texas, a bunch of refrigerators stacked on the back and shit.
Like a junk man.
A junk man, yeah, junk man for sure. And one of the refrigerators flies off. And I guess Anthony, the gentleman driving, didn't see it until the cars in front of him swerved. And so he slams on the brakes, which kicks the trailer around. The trailer's longer than the fucking van is, It kicks around. So we start kind of fishtailing all over the interstate, get sideways. And as we're coming to a stop, we get T-boned by a utility truck, one of those ones with a crane on it. And it busts out every window on that side of the van, caves it all in on the side. It looked like that scene from The Matrix when the windows blow out in slow-mo.
It's like the bullet time.
And we got sprayed with glass. And luckily, amazingly, none of us were hurt bad. I broke my foot, and Barber had some kind of foot problem. And yeah, really no one was hurt besides just being a little sore besides that. And Jeff was up front in the shotgun seat, and the door got ripped off while we were spinning or right as we were getting hit or something. And this dude rips the armrest off just trying to stay inside, just that adrenaline strength. He could never do that again. And he just tears the goddamn armrest off the thing. But yeah, luckily... we had a guitar was a casualty, but repaired. All of our amps were jacked up, so those had to be fixed. I'm pretty sure that your goddamn neighbor here at the Smithsonian drove down to Texas to pick us up.
He did.
Yeah.
Evan.
Yeah, now that I think about it, him and T-Bear came to the rescue a couple days later. But the good news is we were stuck in Austin. We had some friends from Austin come and get us so we could go stay with them in the 2 or 3 days we were there. And we watched all of season one of Lost while we were there. So got the ball rolling on Lost.
Man, I loved that show.
Great show.
Did you finish it?
Mm-hmm. Let's not go down that fucking rabbit hole.
I loved it, honestly. And a lot of
Still
times...
probably my favorite show,
Yeah.
but, besides that True Detective season 1, but it was stupid.
The end was stupid?
It got stupid.
I still enjoyed it, but a lot of times too, people are like, I knew what it was the whole time. And I'm like, well, you obviously didn't watch the show, because one thing I did like about Lost is they left it to where, if you've been a faithful viewer, you kind of knew how you knew how it resolved. And if you were just a passive viewer, you thought something totally different. They're dead the whole time. I get it. Surprise. If you actually watched it, you'll know differently.
Oh, Lost.
You know what's up. I loved Lost. And actually... the reason why I got into Lost was because one day I went over to Evan's house and Matt Breen was there, and he was like, "Hey, you got to watch this." And we watched the episode, episode 4 of season 1 or something like that. And I was like, "Man, this is super interesting. I got to get into it." And then a friend of mine let me borrow the first season, and then I watched it in like a day.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
You know what's amazing is that day was the first. So Matt Breen downloaded like a couple episodes, and we had like one laptop that we, the band laptop, and he watched a couple. He's like, "You got to watch this." And I watched the first 2 episodes, and I remember being like struck by how violent that plane crash is, like in the first episode.
And you're not a good flyer,
yeah,
as you mentioned previously.
Yeah. And it's just like the plane's tearing apart and all this shit. And it's literally like an hour later that van crash happened. It was so weird. I was just like, ugh. Like it was like living that
it was meant
plane
to be.
crash. Yeah.
Synchronicity.
Lost got us is the curse. The curse of Lost.
The curse of Lost. Well, and I'm glad to see that the Emanuel curse is just still
alive and well.
To this day, alive and well.
Hopefully, I make it home tonight.
Yeah, I hope you. But so, what's life like outside of the music business? Because you said it's been 10 years. I know you're still involved in the business. You got a great head for business. I felt like you always kept your head on straight throughout the years.
I don't. I'm not really involved in the music business. I guess I'm sort of around it in some ways. I haven't played much. I had Anthony and Devin and I had a brief band, played a few shows, got worse and worse, and decided, call it.
Right.
We started at the top, and then we went reverse of Drake. Is it Drake? Yeah,
Yes.
we went opposite of Drake.
Yeah.
And
Started at the top, now we're here.
Yeah. But I haven't played much. I don't know. I've had a few stints as a professional athlete. Table tennis career winnings, upwards of $500. Reached the pinnacle, walked out like Jordan, got into competitive fishing. Getting close to the apex of that, career winnings well over $140. Don't tell, I probably, IRS is on me now, so I'm fucked.
The bad boy of fishing.
The bad boy of fishing.
You thought I was lying to you. No, the bad boy of fishing.
I've gone pro now.
That's true. Hey, man, more power to you, man. I'm glad you're making money at something that you love to do.
Yeah, it's really, that 140 career winnings is really sustaining me.
Hey, you keep a lavish lifestyle, man. That 140, it's just supplemental income.
Yeah.
I feel that.
It's my running around money.
Exactly. Well, I got to ask the question that everybody wants to know. 10-year anniversary of Soundtrack was a couple years ago. 10-year anniversary of Black Earth Tiger is coming up right now. It's already upon us. You're on hiatus. There's no official breakup. What are the odds?
The odds are very low.
Very low, you
think? Yeah, there's just too much stuff in the way, man. It's like, we've talked about this less and less these days, but every year or 2 or 3, it comes up, and maybe we'll get 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5 on board. But I've always been on board. I've always felt kind of incomplete about just ending the way it did. Like, always wanted to come back and do a hometown show and maybe just call, like, this is it for sure. Now, obviously, it would be it, but to do a thing. But everybody's gone in such different directions. 3 of the guys have kids now. One of the guys I haven't talked to in 7 years, besides a few weird Facebook exchanges. Everybody's just in different worlds. I'm envious of all the bands that we were around back in the day, our friends, bands like Armor for Sleep. I remember when they were doing like a West Coast run of shows a few years ago where they had been out of the game for, 5 years or more probably. And I remember talking to Nash, and he's like, "Dude, we're bigger than we've ever been. This is amazing." I'm like, "God damn, really?" He's like, "Yeah, we're huge." And I'm like, "Okay, that's cool." Didn't expect it, but it's cool that they're able to go back and do it. It's weird that this like nostalgic like emo thing has come back around where all these bands can go out and people like care
and do a 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, I don't know if that would work for us because I think maybe have been forgotten a little bit more. We've probably got like a good core group of like people that would probably fly to see us or something like that. Like we did a show in Louisville.
You would have hundreds of kids in Louisville to come, and I say kids, but hundreds of adults now,
old people now. Yeah,
yeah.
We maybe get a few people out, but I don't think we could go to like other cities and really succeed or anything. But
I'm going to start a campaign right now.
Do it. Yeah.
Let's start a campaign right now.
I'm sure if you could get a GoFundMe for the right, we could probably rally up the guys that are holding out.
Guys, I will say this: I will double Bryan Whiteman's fishing earnings.
Nice.
If we can get this together, guys, let's rally the troops. Let's submit a few dollars.
But we don't want to do it for the wrong reasons, It's not what we're about.
Do it because everybody wants to see one more show. You know what I'm saying? Do it because everybody loves you guys, and you guys are, like I said, the influence for so many bands in Louisville. Still to this day, you guys think maybe you've been forgotten over the years. That's not true, because it lives on every single day when you hear a new Louisville band that's ripping that rock sound and has an epic outro.
Yeah, well, epic outro. If you get enough money together, I could just hire a bunch of guys to do it with me.
That's true. The Bryan Whiteman's Emanuel. It's kind of like when Guns N' Roses split into two parts. You know what I'm saying? Or Great White.
Yeah.
When Great White split into two parts. But yeah, speaking of epic outros, that's how I'm gonna end this podcast. Just to let you know that Emanuel's a band that's not been forgotten, and it really does live on in the influence of bands that are out there doing it right now from Louisville. And you guys put Louisville on the map for us. You know what I'm saying? Like,
for the younger generation.
Yeah. For those of us that weren't listening to Slint, you guys were our Slint. You guys were our morning jacket. You know what I'm saying?
High praise.
Well, and you deserve it 100%. So, Whiteman, as we bring this podcast to a close, do you have any final thoughts? Any retrospective thoughts about what your band, or do you have any advice out there for anybody that's out there doing it? I mean, you guys made it. I feel like they can glean some good advice for those out there trying to make it.
Yeah, actually I do. So I was talking to the singer of a band from Louisville who's out there crushing it right now. Just recently, actually worked on a guitar for him, helped him get his guitar up and running properly. And these guys are fucking killer. White Reaper, if you haven't heard him. And he's telling me stories about what they're doing. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are gonna do the same stupid shit that we did. They're like up on stage, like popping off about the headliner because they're a bunch of dicks or something like that. I'm like, guys, you can't do that, man. And I don't know, those kids I think have it together better than we did. But man, that if you haven't heard them, get that record. That is some good stuff. But don't fuck up too much. Definitely have fun, but try to keep your head on straight and don't sit on the good songs.
Exactly. Guys, you heard it here first from Bryan Whiteman. Little piece of advice. And if you enjoyed this 2-part extravaganza, like I said, all of Emanuel's records, they are still on Amazon. So go ahead and buy them up, bro. Get yourself a physical or digital copy. It's also on Spotify, so you can listen to it for free, just like I did 10 years ago when before Soundtrack came out. You can do that too. And speaking of free and listening, you can check out my podcast for free. Comes out every Tuesday. It's on iTunes, Amazon. I said Amazon. It's not on Amazon. You could probably get it on Amazon one day, but it's on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. It's on YouTube. So if you like it, check it out. And if you like Emanuel, sound off in the comments, guys. So yeah, Bryan, I appreciate you coming over here.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you burning my table down.
I'm not taking. Do not.
I'm gonna blame you 100%.
Don't tell Evan about that.
Blame you 100% for that.
It wasn't me, Evan.
It wasn't me. It's the Emanuel curse. But yeah, I appreciate you coming over here, brother. I thank you so much. Both these episodes have been fantastic. And yeah, man. Guys, this has been the second part of my conversation with Bryan Whiteman. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Sean vs. Wild podcast.